Most people don't fail with money because they're lazy. They fail because the systems they build aren't real. They're aspirational, not operational. They create budgets based on the version of themselves they wish they were. The version that never impulse shops. The version that never forgets due dates. The version that always has perfect self-control at the end of a long day. And then, when reality hits, when the old habits show up, the system collapses. Not because the person is broken, because the system was never designed for who they actually are. It was designed for a fantasy. This happens everywhere. People download 3 finance apps they never open. They build spreadsheets they never update. They set up automatic transfers they constantly override. The tools exist, the motivation exists, but the fit doesn't. And without a real fit, no amount of willpower can hold a system together. You can't force yourself to become hyper-organized overnight. You can't force your brain to love logging every transaction manually. You can't force your energy to be consistent when your life isn't. But that's what most systems expect. They're built like tightrope walks. One mistake, one missed step, and it feels like a total failure. And that feeling, failure, is what drives people to quit. The truth is, your financial system shouldn't make you feel fragile. It shouldn't need you to be perfect. It shouldn't collapse under normal human behavior. It should expect you to forget sometimes. It should expect you to mess up occasionally. It should be strong enough, flexible enough, and simple enough to survive it. If your system only works when you're at your best, it's not a system. It's a fantasy with a countdown clock. Building a financial system that actually works for you starts with telling the truth about how you think, about how you live, about what you'll realistically maintain, not just what you wish you would. And once you build from reality, not from fantasy, everything gets easier. If you want a financial system that lasts, you have to start where you actually are, not where you think you should be. That means studying your real patterns, not judging them, not fixing them immediately, just watching. How do you naturally handle money now? When do you check your accounts, if ever? What triggers impulsive spending for you? When do you feel most organized? When do you tend to forget or avoid financial tasks? Because your real habits hold the blueprint for what's going to work long term. If you're someone who hates logging every expense manually, don't build a system that depends on it. If you check your phone every morning, maybe that's the best time to glance at your balance. If you tend to batch tasks on Sundays, build your money check-in there, not in some ideal daily routine you'll never stick to. You don't need to redesign yourself to get better with money. You need to design your system to fit your actual self. It's tempting to think you have to become disciplined first, that you have to fix your procrastination, that you have to kill your impulses, but you don't. You just have to build around them. Good systems aren't rigid. They're smart. They work with human nature, not against it. That means shorter sessions, fewer steps, more reminders, more automatic triggers, more forgiveness built into the structure. Because when your system matches how you already live, you don't have to constantly fight yourself to use it. You just follow the path you already walk, but with a little more awareness, a little more structure, a little more intention. That's how real behavior changes happen. Not by force, not by shame, by lowering the friction between where you are and where you want to go. You don't need a perfect version of you. You just need a system that respects the version that already exists and gives them a real chance to win.
A good financial system doesn't just work. It pulls you in without effort. It feels obvious. It feels almost automatic. The mistake most people make, they build complicated systems because complexity feels impressive. Spreadsheets with 15 tabs, color-coded budgets, apps that track 20 categories with graphs and alerts. It looks smart. It feels smart for about a week, and then real life happens. You're tired. You're overwhelmed. You miss a day. You miss two. The system starts gathering dust because complexity isn't sustainable under stress. Simplicity is. If you want a financial system you'll actually use, you need to make it so simple that ignoring it feels harder than doing it. One account to check, one app to log spending, if you even log it, one small ritual each week, one big review each month, not 5 new habits to learn, not 5 apps to sync, not 5 alarms to set, just a few clear touch points that are easy to reach, even when you're tired, busy, or distracted. Think about it like brushing your teeth. You don't need a reminder every day. You don't need a full calendar invite. It's just a thing you do because it's simple, fast, and integrated into your life. Your money system should feel the same. Tiny steps, low resistance, built into your rhythm, not bolted onto it. Because in the moments when you're stretched thin, you won't have the energy to wrestle with a complicated structure. You'll fall back to the level of the system that feels natural. If that system is simple, you'll stay engaged. If it's complex, you'll disappear. Simple is sustainable, and sustainable is what builds real financial change. You don't need to look impressive on paper. You need something you can do without thinking, even on your worst days.
Most people track outcomes with their money. How much they saved, how much they spent, how much debt they paid off. And those numbers matter. But if that's all you track, you miss the part you can actually control, your inputs. Inputs are the actions you take, not just the results you hope for. It's deciding to check your account every Friday. It's putting $50 into savings every time you get paid. It's reviewing your subscriptions once a quarter. It's pausing for 5 minutes before a big purchase. Inputs are behaviors, small ones, consistent ones. And when you track inputs, something powerful happens. You shift focus from, "Did I win yet?" to, "Did I show up today?" Because outcomes can be discouraging. Savings grow slowly. Debt shrinks slowly. Progress sometimes feels invisible. But inputs are immediate. You either did them or you didn't. And every time you do, you cast a vote for the financial future you want. Tracking inputs also builds resilience. Because even when life gets messy, when expenses spike, when emergencies happen, you can still honor your small actions. You can still send $5 to savings. You can still review your spending for the week. You can still check in, even if it's brief. You stay connected to the process, not just obsessed with the results. And over time, those small, boring, unsexy inputs stack up into real, visible outcomes. The people who build strong financial systems aren't superhuman. They're just people who repeat tiny behaviors long enough to let momentum work for them. If you only measure your outcomes, you'll always feel like you're falling short. If you measure your inputs, you'll realize you're building something solid, even when it's still invisible. Your system should celebrate the action, not just the achievement, because consistent action is the only road to any achievement worth having. Most financial systems fall apart the first time you mess up. One bad month, one missed bill, one overspending spiral, and suddenly the system feels broken. And if the system feels broken, you feel broken. But here's the thing. A real financial system should expect you to screw up sometimes. It should have built-in fail-safes, not punishments. Because mistakes aren't proof you're failing. They're proof you're human. And systems that only work when you're perfect are systems designed to fail. Instead, build something that catches you when you slip. Maybe it's an automatic minimum savings transfer, even if it's $5, so you're still moving forward on bad months. Maybe it's a reminder on your phone once a week to review spending, even if you've been off track. Maybe it's a written recovery plan for yourself when you notice overspending starting again. The goal isn't to shame yourself back into discipline. It's to gently reroute yourself, without drama, without judgment. Because shame paralyzes, compassion mobilizes. When your system assumes you'll occasionally drop the ball, it stops making every mistake feel like an identity crisis. Instead, it just becomes a small bump, a course correction, an expected normal part of growth. You're not starting over every time you wobble. You're just continuing with a little extra awareness, Real financial security isn't about being perfect. It's about building resilience into your process. It's about knowing that one bad month doesn't erase a year of progress, that a few impulse purchases don't wipe out your future, that missing one goal doesn't mean you've failed forever. It's all part of the path. Fail-safes keep you moving. Punishments keep you stuck. Choose systems that invite you back in, not systems that lock you out, because consistency beats intensity, and survival beats shame. One of the biggest mistakes people make with money systems is thinking they're supposed to last forever. You set up a budget, you create a routine, you find something that works, for now, and then life changes. Your income shifts, your expenses evolve, your priorities move, but you keep trying to force the old system to fit the new reality, because somewhere along the line, you picked up the idea that real discipline means never changing the plan. It doesn't. Real discipline is knowing when to adapt. Your financial system should evolve with you, not trap you. If you get a raise, your saving and spending patterns might need adjusting. If you move to a new city, your cost structure will change. If you have a kid, everything shifts, from emergency funds to daily routines. And that's not failure, that's growth. The system you built at 25 shouldn't be identical to the one you use at 35. The system you designed for a side hustle won't automatically fit a full-time business. The structure that supported survival might not serve sustainability. Adaptation isn't about being flaky. It's about being honest. It's about asking, is this system still serving me? Is it helping, or is it making things harder? What needs updating based on the life I'm actually living now? And then making the adjustments before the system becomes a burden. Systems should be alive, responsive, flexible. Because you're alive, responsive, flexible. And when you treat your financial tools as living frameworks instead of rigid commandments, you stay engaged longer. You stay realistic. You stay empowered. The goal isn't to obey a budget perfectly. It's to keep building a relationship with your money that respects who you are today, not who you were 3 years ago. Adaptation isn't weakness. It's maintenance. And maintenance is what keeps everything standing when life keeps moving. The hardest part about building a real financial system isn't the setup. It's the patience. Because real progress, it's invisible at first. Nobody claps when you check your balance every Friday. Nobody gives you a trophy for adjusting your budget after a tough month. Nobody celebrates when you choose not to overspend and just quietly move on. But those tiny, invisible moments are what build everything that matters. Progress doesn't feel like fireworks. It feels like calm. It feels like not panicking when you look at your account. It feels like paying a bill without anxiety. It feels like knowing where your money is going, even if it's not a huge amount yet. You don't notice the shift immediately. You just wake up one day and realize you haven't spiraled over finances in a while. You realize you trust yourself a little more. You realize the system you built is still there, quietly holding you up. And that's the win. Not the giant payoff day, not the viral debt-free scream, not the flashy milestones. The real victory is boring consistency. The real success is the system that keeps catching you, even on bad weeks. And yes, it'll still wobble sometimes. You'll still forget. You'll still have messy months. You'll still wish you were further ahead. That's normal. That's human. That's part of it. But if you keep showing up, even imperfectly, the momentum builds. One small action at a time, one quiet decision at a time, one steady adjustment at a time, until one day you realize you don't just have a financial system, you have a financial life, and it's yours, built for your real self, built to last. If this video made something click for you, consider subscribing, hit the bell so you don't miss the next one, and leave a comment, even just a thanks or your own story. I read everything.